After doing the impossible versus Real Madrid in the Bernabeu in the Champions League, having a dominant performance like that, you go away to Cagliari with a lot of momentum and show a defensive disaster class like they did. And my tone maybe seems like we lost when in reality we drew, but it feels like a loss. When you score 3 goals in a game and still don't grab 3 points, it is poor. And I feel like a broken record saying this, and I feel like a lot of people have heard this narrative nonstop, but this defense is not organized, has poor awareness, lack of communication, and zero chemistry whatsoever going forward. And this is one of those moments where I feel like I'm like a dad or something like that, scolding my children, but I'm making some call outs this game. Pavlovic, not good enough. I tried to be optimistic about this signing, but the quality that this team needs to succeed is not there in Pavlovic. We should be going after high profile targets that will make an instant impact in this team, that being Buongiorno. Buongiorno should have been the one to come into this team. And the lack of awareness that the management has shown by not bringing in somebody like Buongiorno who would make an instant impact in this team, as it's shown with Napoli, how much more defensively stable they were. They were the worst defensive team in the league last season, getting 10th place, leaking goals out the back. They buy one guy, Buongiorno, and they stabilized it. This should have been our target to go for after that Xerxes deal fell through. 40 million you offer for Xerxes, his agent isn't budging. Go all in for Buongiorno, and we failed to do so. And instead, we settled for Pavlovic and Emerson, who I'll get onto right now. Not much needs to be said. It is a constant week in and week out thing with Emerson. And Zappa made Emerson look like he was the one playing for Cagliari today. Zappa looked like the reincarnation of Zambrotta or something. Emerson is not good enough for this team. I tried to be optimistic about this signing, much like every team and fans should be about the players that they bring in. But this is just poor. How often Cagliari were able to just cross balls into the back post. And yes, Teo is at blame for a lot of it, and we'll get to him later, believe me. But it starts with Emerson. And this loss is, I say loss, but we drew. This draw is 100% on the defense. Yeah. And we'll get to Teo Hernandez. For all the criticisms that Rafael Leao has gone under this season, if Teo is demanding these salary wages and is a leader of this team, he has to show it on all fronts at a consistent level, or at least just get the basics correct. And he's not even doing that, and it's costing us valuable points. Not even being able to just look over your shoulder to see that Zappa is behind you. In Okafor, on that last goal, you are the man to be marking Zappa. And you're credited with having this defensive work rate that's incredible. And this is the reason why you started over Leao in those string of games, because of your defensive contributions. And now you're at fault for this draw, for us dropping points. And I'm calling it out. I'm calling it how it is. I'm calling it how I see it. And this is how I see it. It is unacceptable that this team just constantly has these blunders out the back, and it's so frustrating that it's coming down to this, that the basics and the fundamentals of defending are ones that we're not even getting correct. Very frustrating. Overall, this defense has costed us a point, and even when we put in a good shift up top, scoring 3 goals, it's still not enough to get 3 points. And if we see this as a consistent pattern in our season, you can go ahead and kiss that Scudetto goodbye, because not a single time in Serie A history has a team won the league by having the best attack. It's by having the best defense. And in Serie A, this is what we pride ourselves on. Now let's get to, I guess you could say, the good news of this match. Attacking quality up top is elite. I mean, Rafa this game was the forefront in this match, showing his quality, and from that Real game carrying into this one. And Rafael Leao was never the problem. He was never the problem, and it's crazy that people really tried to make him the scapegoat of our problems. And I was backing Leao this whole season. I knew he was not the problem. I knew he was not the issue. And people were criticizing him for every single little thing he does. Oh, he's walking, he's doing this, he's doing that. He was never the issue. The problem lies within the defense. And Fonseca has to get this right, or else we will not be competitive. We will be content with getting top 4, and that is it. At this point, we're fighting for top 4. When you have teams like Lazio overperforming, you have Fiorentina punching above their weight. And we're lucky that Roma isn't in this conversation, because with how it is right now, Milan could be very well in 8th place. And Tijani Reinders continues to impress, and what an assist for that first Rafa goal. And he's starting to get that recognition he deserves as a main pillar in this team. And he is, like I said in the previous video, he's our best midfielder, and it's not even close. And I think he's starting to make that case for himself that he is one of the better midfielders in this league. And Fofana had a good game as well with that perfectly weighted through ball to Leao for that second goal, but had a blunder on the other side, giving Zappa a perfect pass to score for Cagliari. And Fofana, I think, is really still trying to find his feet in this team a little bit, kind of just getting more aligned with how the team works and the patterns of play and the movement, and honestly the chemistry as well is a big thing. But we've seen massive strides from those first couple games in the beginning of the season where he was very shaky, but now you're starting to see the player come into fruition. And another headline coming into this game was Francesco Camarda getting his starting debut. And of course, he got this debut because with that Morata injury and then Tammy not being 100% fit, Camarda gets that chance. And he was pretty good for the most part, putting in his age into account and everything like this, never really getting that shot in a starting Milan team. I think he did great for the most part. I think he got all the basics right for me, making space, getting some shots on goal, and it's a sign of great things to come, and we'll definitely see a lot of him more in the future. Let's go to tops and flops. Top for me, I'm going to say Rafa Leao. Carrying in that form from that Real Madrid game was crucial, because without Rafa in this game, we lose. And of course, if we lose, then it's on Rafa Leao. And then if he doesn't score 2 goals, then it's even a bigger issue than it is. So Rafa's been under a lot of criticism recently, and I think he silenced a lot of people, because now I think a lot of people see that he is not the problem and he was never the problem. So for me, with that performance, Rafa is going to be my top of the match. And flop, I'm saying the whole defense. The whole defense minus Mike Maignan. What a shameless performance after that Madrid game being so defensively stable. And I think we need to bring in that conversation of where's Tomori in this one? Where is this chemistry in the defense that we had in that Scudetto winning season? A part of that reason why we won the Scudetto was in that last stretch of games, how defensively sound we were with that Tomori and Kalulu partnership out the back. And yeah, they're not the most, biggest defenders in the world, but what made us win that Scudetto was our chemistry. And you're starting to see with this team, there is no chemistry. And a lot of this blame, I think, does go on Fonseca for rotating the team too much. And we got on Pioli's case for not rotating the team enough. And now Fonseca is doing it too much to the point where the team isn't gaining chemistry with each other, knowing where their defensive partner is going to be, where, runs are being tracked, when it's as easy as just looking over your shoulder. Like I said earlier, flop of the match for me is the whole defense. So speaking of Juventus, let's preview that game versus them. We're 8 points off of first place and 6 points off of second place. Of course, if we beat Juventus, then we gain points on them. And it makes maybe the situation look a lot lighter than what it is. And the truth of the matter is, this has to be a must win. And if we go away from home to Real Madrid, and technically in that fixture against Inter, we were away. When you go away to 2 of probably the biggest teams in Europe, at least 2 top 5 teams in Europe, and you go away and you put a dominant performance versus both of them, this game has to be the exact same. And Juventus, much like us, is in very similar positions where defensively, Juventus is poor out the back. Without Bremer, they've been an absolute mess out the back. And I'm expecting Leao to have a big performance in this one. Obviously, Pulisic is going to be a main protagonist in this. And Tijani Reinders, I think, is going to run rampant in that midfield. So I'm expecting a big performance in this game. But again, my main concern is the defense. Is this defense going to show up and play like how they did versus Real Madrid? Or are they going to have a Cagliari type performance where we're not checking over the shoulder, we're exposed out the back in the back post? And these are my main concerns going forward. So it's up to Fonseca to create a game plan, which I think he is capable of doing, because it seems that when we play top teams, this is where the best of the quality of Milan is. And I'm hoping that we really keep it consistent, but it's been a main talking point of this season. So let's predict a result. It's really strange because this Cagliari game, I feel like, threw a monkey wrench in this whole equation, because now it's like I'm thinking, okay, we beat Real Madrid, but we can't beat Cagliari. So how's this game versus Juventus going to play out? But I think because we play our expansive style against better teams, I think that this game is going to be a lot more open, which plays to the strengths of AC Milan. So I think, with that being said, I think we're going to win in this one. I know, I keep on saying, oh, win, win, win. And I said that we were going to win versus Cagliari, but to my credit, I did say it was going to be a tough game, but I think that we're going to win this one just solely off of the fact that Juventus play an open style as well, and as do we. So I think it's going to be a lot more easier for us to kind of play the way that we want, that expansive style of football. So with that being said, I'm going to predict a 2-1. I think we're going to concede for sure, but I think we're going to get it over the line, and I think we're going to see a big performance from a couple of our players. I think that'll do it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about this Cagliari game. And going forward in this season, what does Milan have to do to kind of steer the ship in the right direction? Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao ragazzi.